Hello and welcome back. This is going to be another Divine Partnership Coaching video. And I want to talk a little bit about some, let's call it common sense cautions about watching readings. And part of this is something I've been thinking about already, and I was kind of sensing it come up in collective energy. And then I started seeing it come up from other readers that are warning people about that there are some karmics that are starting to do tarot readings and hoping to get divine feminines pulled in and riled up and things like that, which, I mean, I do believe that that's true on some levels. It does seem like something that, like, if I was in a dark place and allowing my ego to lead, I might consider doing something like that as an attempt to hold on to something that I thought that I needed. Now, when you get onto the divine feminine path, you start to release things like that. You start to recognize that anything that you feel like you need to have or you need to know about, it's karmic. It's not love. It's not healthy. And you get away from that stuff. But we all start in a karmic place. So it's hard, at least it's hard for me at this point in my journey to be upset at somebody doing that. And I look at it more as, let's be personally accountable. Now, I can tell you when I started this journey, I started this journey a long time ago, goodness, going on 20 years. So, but when separation first occurred at the beginning of this year and the last little bit of 2019, I had a lot of shadows to work on. And one of the first things I thought was to get into, I used to watch tarot readings for the signs, like for my signs and my DM signs and signs of the people that I was interacting with. And I thought, I wonder if that can give me any sort of information right now, especially because my DM ghosted. And sorry, there's a beautiful, beautiful hawk. Oh man, it's beautiful red-tailed hawk. That's what I thought. That's great. It's really, really beautiful flying overhead. Really big too. Which is a sign of looking for the bird's eye view. It's also a predator too, so it's fitting in what we're talking about. But the irony is in being a divine femme or divine masculine, in many ways we are getting to being the apex predator, but without being an actual predator. And what we're needing to be not vigilant for, but just aware of, is that there are many readers who are in karmic energy and they're working on their own way out of that energy, but sometimes in the process that karmic energy can come out into their videos. And some of it has come out into my earlier stuff too. I tried really hard to alchemize it early on in the best ways that I knew how, but you can see it in some of them too. And you can see karmic energy a lot of the ways if you're really disparaging on anybody else, especially any karmic third parties and stuff like that, or if your readings are like full of doom and gloom all the time. I mean, human nature is full of rainbows and colors of things. It's not all good stuff, it's not all bad stuff. So it can also occur on the other side if you're only seeing only good stuff. Like, my opinion, when I value a reader, I see the rainbow. I don't just see like one thing. In any case, like I was saying early on in my journey, I thought to look for clues because my DM had ghosted for a minute and I wasn't sure. I mean, he was so far in the other dimension. He had to be for me to be like, you gotta go. You gotta go learn some lessons. I can't, and my cup is so freaking empty, and I've been basing it on needing you to fill it. So I'm seeing that I'm in karmic energy too, and like, ugh. But I was dealing with a lot of anxious attachment and a lot of other challenges, and so it wasn't easy to just sit with that in that moment. I felt like I needed some sort of something to feel okay in my life and to be able to release him to do whatever he was going to do. And I started to get into readings from others. I started doing more of my own. I already had been, and like I said, I'd already been watching that stuff before, not like religiously, but I did watch it a fair amount. And when I got into that, then I started asking Spirit to show me what was happening, what was coming, what was going on. And I started to notice interesting things happening, and the more I asked, it was interesting because it started to show me videos from twin flame readers. And I was skeptical at first, to be honest. I didn't want it to be a fantasy bond thing. I didn't want to give myself hope and then find that there was none. There was a lot of shadows that I had to face. But some of the first few readers that I found myself pulled towards were readers that were like talking all about karmics giving STDs and being thieves and just being horrible, nasty people, and DMs being horrible, nasty people. And at first I thought, okay, maybe this is just right now. Like, we all get into karmic energy and this is understandable. But then I noticed those readers continued on that path, and I was like, even if it is this bad, I don't want to hear this stuff. I was already well aware at that time that what you think about and what you believe then manifests, and I was like, I don't want to think about this stuff. And I did see some of it start to happen too, and it triggered my fears, and I started getting a little dramatic on my own end. I did catch it fairly early on, and I'm thankful because I knew enough about manifestation to get away from that. But I've run into and been coaching many people who didn't have that awareness before they got into watching other readers, and it really set their timeline back because they were listening to that stuff. And I've also noticed that because we're all humans, so there are ways that I've found for me that work to recognize a reader who is like connected with spirit and their inner being and has valuable information for me and that resonates with me versus karmic readers. And I think the biggest thing is look at what they're talking about. Like, even if they have a pleasant voice and they seem like they have a reasonable energy, if their readings are constantly focused on what's not good for you or what you should be careful for, or if they're like telling you who's good for you versus who's not good for you, things like that, you just be cautious. I'm not saying don't listen to them. You might need to hear that stuff, but don't take it as something written in stone. And also, look at what you're resonating with. I don't necessarily look at the readers as being the karmic bit, but when I feel like I'm called towards them, I look towards, am I in karmic energy myself? If I'm pulling in these readings, am I in karmic energy? And if I feel like I am, I might go through even and like unsubscribe from them for a while, get away from readings and do things like that, and pull back and look at my own energy, because they're doing readings for the people that are in their collective, and they're there as a part and piece of the puzzle, and they're valuable. But that does not necessarily mean that you need to be on that collective with them. And as part of the human experience, we go through highs and lows, ups and drops and things like that. So, look, rather than looking at like, should I be listening to this reader or not, look at if you're attracting people who are talking negatively or suggesting that you like block or do something or act holier than thou or anything like that, or they're talking about masculines that are just horrible people that you should just completely write off, or karmics, whether feminines or masculines, who are 11:11 on the clock, who are just all bad, or that you need to like be done with them, and things like that. Consider where your energy is, because it's likely a reflection of how you're feeling about things, even if those aren't the words that you're using. Look at that as a reflection and use that to help yourself heal. All right, well, I'm going to end this video here. I'll do more talks about this later, but I hope that you found this helpful, and be careful, but also don't shy away from the shadowy sides of life and learning in this journey, because they're all valuable too. You never know what you might learn.